Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations with the Dean. I'm Turney Stevens, Dean of the College of Business at Lipscomb University, and we're delighted today to welcome to the campus Carl Haley, who's the founder and CEO of Grand Avenue Worldwide.
That's right, worldwide, and we'll get into the worldwide part of that later. But thanks for having me here, and it's really an honor and a privilege. And you know, I just love coming to the campus and walking around and feeling the energy. There's a lot of energy, you know, at this campus.
Well, Carl, we appreciate you coming, and thanks for speaking to our students, and thanks for wearing that purple and gold tie too.
I did get it right.
You did, and we appreciate that. Hey, let me just sort of start from the very beginning here. You were a very successful healthcare executive. You were part of a team that sold AIM Healthcare. I assume made some money out of that, perhaps a lot of money. The Lord blessed you with that. But then you turned around and became a mid-career entrepreneur in a very unlikely business, surface transportation. Tell me about your thought process on how you went from healthcare to surface transportation.
Well, let me just first start out with, you know, we did have a great team at AIM Healthcare. That was the healthcare company. And the Lord did bless us, all of us, in many ways. And, you know, that team was, you know, more like family. And I learned a lot. And I did, you know, have a really blessed exit. But I still had a lot of fire in the belly, as some folks will say, and sometimes that's not a good thing. You know, as you get a little older, you learn, hey, maybe, you know, I need to put that out a little bit. But, you know, I just left AIM about December of '09 with that fire. You know, was able to have a number of conversations with some folks about what was going on in Nashville, because I was a guy, you know, working every day in healthcare, really living out in Franklin, Williamson County. I didn't really know a lot about Nashville. I mean, so I was going through this discovery process and, you know, heard about the Music City Convention Center and really, you know, the branding of Nashville as the Music City. And started to discover, you know, an opportunity in, you know, transportation. You know, and a lot of folks call it limousines, and I really have worked hard to have that really transition to transportation and logistics, and that's what we do a lot of with corporate America and consumers and universities and schools as well. And I saw some parallels. You know, when I was at AIM, I was part of a team, and I really focused on operations. And I was in charge of the audits that we had going on all across the country. And we had auditors out there, and you had to move them around, and you had to have them show up on time and, you know, figure out the workload and how long were they going to be there. So a lot of logistics, a lot of moving parts. And so I was, you know, familiar with that. And I saw the parallels with, you know, livery, which is the hourly portion of our business, and then you have the black car, which is the point-to-point, and then the motor coaches and shuttles, moving people back and forth. So I said, okay, well, I think I could probably do that. You know, I did it with the auditors out there, and, you know, I saw a lot of upside, you know, understanding that Nashville was growing and the convention center was coming. I really maybe didn't know how much, and I think it's still kind of a question out there for a lot of folks as to how much growth we're going to have. So I saw the upside. I saw some of the parallels with, you know, the operational piece of it. And then, you know, I looked at the market itself, you know, smaller mom and pop, and with respect I say that, and somewhat undercapitalized. And so I didn't see anybody out there that had the capital or the ability to scale and to grow with Nashville. And so I said, maybe this is something I can do. And so off I went.
And you developed a number of marketing techniques that had really, as far as I know, never been applied in the market before. I can make one call and I can get anything from a small vehicle to a mega bus, depending on the size group. You can handle it all.
That's right.
That was an innovation in the marketplace. And I think you created a brand identity in a way that really no one else, at least in this market, has done. But I assume that was all part of your plan.
Well, it was a progression. You know, it was kind of that learning process. But yeah, we refer to that as a diversified fleet, and we have one of the largest diversified fleets in Middle Tennessee. And you know, we're probably in the top 50 in the United States. I mean, the industry is made up of about 13,000 companies, and the average size is about 8 to 9 vehicles. You know, the other thing that we did was found this great location off of First Street that we could house everything underneath a roof and keep it covered and conditioned, and really that helps out with the expense of keeping it clean, and you can manage it very efficiently. So that was one of the strategies that I looked at when I saw the marketplace. I didn't see anybody that really had that, and I wanted to be able to go to a business and say, I'm one-stop shop, and I'm the guy or the company that can provide the sedan service all the way to the motor coach. And I'm going to give you an account manager to take care of all your needs, and I'm going to create a profile and know the do's and the don'ts, and I'm going to make it hassle-free. I'm going to get economies of scale so I can get the right pricing and have it be competitive. And then you're going to get customer service like you've never seen, or what you expect, but you really never got, at least from the research I did, from the smaller companies. That was a new idea, and that, again, was progression, going out and talking to businesses and really trying to understand what was important to them.
Let's talk about the human capital piece of this. I want to come back to what you just said. We used a mid-sized vehicle for a golf trip. We took some donors to Alabama to play golf just a few months ago. This is one of the reasons I was so interested in inviting you to come in, because we were so impressed not only with the hard asset, the vehicle itself, and what terrific condition it was in and how all the details had been thought of, but the driver was exceptionally interested in making it a great experience for us. So looking at that from a management standpoint, how do you do that? How do you manage that human capital?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it just goes back through, I think, the years of experience I've had, going all the way back to when I was a young man, starting out. I had military training. And then from there, a great company, Sallie Mae, lots of management training, Ken Blanchard and Crosby and Deming and good mentors all along the way. And then, made it to AIM Healthcare, and, great team and good folks that we had on that team in HR, and learned a lot. And so, we've done a lot of training. We start out working with a company, Century 2, and picking the right people. We know that they've got to be, have great interpersonal skills, not just be a driver. And hear the word I said, driver. I'm looking for a chauffeur. It's a profession. They take pride in their work. And these folks will go through an orientation process to understand what our philosophy is and our mission. And that's to treat people with respect. And at the end of that trip or experience, it was the best thing that ever happened to them, and they'll remember something from it, whether it was the vehicle or how nice they were. We put them all in the same suit. They have the same tie, so you can distinguish them anywhere. If they're at the airport, at a hotel, the hotel concierge knows, oh, hey, that's a Grand Avenue chauffeur. The folks at the airport, same thing. So it's picking the right people up front, and it's then giving them an orientation about what we do and what we want to accomplish and all the great things that are going on in Nashville. It's then training. So, with our business, it's, safety and DOT. It's, all of the tips, if you will, to greeting someone, making that eye contact and letting them know who you are, making sure you've got the right person. You don't want to pick up the wrong person. and then really just staying with them. We have different levels. So as they progress and they go through training and they get evaluations, they have a career path. And a lot of these guys never had a career path. I mean, all of a sudden now there's a career path. They get to make more money. And, we also kind of built in a little referral program for them so if they can get someone to come over as a client, if you will, and we've got a couple programs that we can talk about, they get rewarded for that. So we really look at them as the front line for us. And I built this great chauffeur's lounge, and there's areas for them to relax, there's areas for them to work. They've got all the resources they need, and so we treat them and let them know, you guys are one of the most important pieces of our business, and I think that's one of the keys on how we've done that.
Let's talk about this Music City Center for just a minute. It's been very much in the news, very controversial. As we've all watched it under construction downtown, I think we've all been amazed at the scale of it. It is absolutely stupendous. One thing's for sure, it will not go away. When we're all gone, it'll
not.
still be standing. So the city has made an enormous investment that just has to succeed at one level or another. It's hard to estimate the effect, the ripple effect, that thousands of people coming into Nashville every week will have, not just on the business of the convention center itself and the hotels that serve it, but also on ancillary businesses like yours. Talk to me about your vision for where you think Nashville will be as a result of the Music City Center being built.
Well, certainly I think the vision is, as you just said, all of these people coming into Nashville, but kind of take a step back and we talk about the Music City Convention Center. That certainly was one of the main ingredients for me to decide to get into this business and to invest as much as I have, and I drive by it every day. I mean, I made it my route. I said, I am going to leave where I live out in Leapers Fort, Franklin, and drive by and go through it. And I've watched it every single day, make my turn on to Demumbrin and go down and watch it come up. And that's been a lot of the energy or the vision I have and motivation. But when that thing gets up, it's 1.25 million square feet, and you'd have to get in it and see it to understand what we have in Nashville now. Mm-hmm. It kind of puts us, top 10, top 15, somewhere like that, mm-hmm. In the U.S. So we're definitely on the map now as a convention center. I think you get over 1 million square feet. And it allows Nashville now to sell itself like it never has been able to do. We've got the Omni. Butch with the CVB. We can be so competitive now within Atlanta and Austin and Charlotte. We couldn't before. Mm-hmm. It's going to, create prosperity and opportunity for everybody, from a guy like me in my little business to the retailers down on Broadway to everybody that you can think of, the economy for jobs for that place. So I just look at it as that key central ingredient that the mayor and the council members and guys like Butch and Marty Dickens, the leadership in Nashville, Ralph Schultz, to have the energy and the fortitude and commitment to get that thing up. And I mean, it's $600 million. I mean, and look at the rest of the country and the economy, what was going on. Mm-hmm. I mean, we were growing, building, putting people to work, and building our future. And I mean, that's the key ingredient, I think.
It was a very courageous thing for Carl Dean as a brand new mayor to come in and make the decision early on that he would be supportive of that. And of course that made the difference. That's what swung the vote in the council. And we'll see how all that turns out. I happen to be a fan of the decision. I think it was the right decision to make. I think it'll transform Nashville in the same way that the Titans and the Predators have transformed Nashville, the same way Bridgestone Arena transformed downtown Nashville, that type of thing. Let me go back to your thinking process and your actual process of preparing the business plan and the financing. One of the things that we try to tell our students in our entrepreneurship program here at Lipscomb is that you don't necessarily have to create the next iPhone in order to be an entrepreneur. It'd be great if you could think that up, but a lot of our kids, I think, and I suspect this applies to adults who have a dream also, think that they have to innovate in a way that really lifts them beyond just the norm. You've taken a fairly mundane business, and I say that with respect, but you figured out a better way to do it. And so tell me how you put a business plan together on that. Did you sit down and write a formal plan, or did you just sort of figure it out as you went?
Well, I think the first thing that I did, I put a lot of faith in the good Lord to kind of lead me down the right path, and it's always kind of been, I think the first thing I do is, really look to the Lord for that guidance and, kind of pray, is this the right direction to go in? And it really ended up being, I think, part of that plan. And then I got with the wife and talked to her and said, let's step out there and do it. And the planning process then from that point was a lot of discovery and due diligence. I went and talked to, as I said, Butch Spearden was a great resource to CVB. What's happening, Butch? What are the numbers going to tell us, or the forecasting, and he shared it with me, and it was pretty significant. You know, when we talk about the convention center and the vision, but if you look at the numbers of, you know, just the visitors from the airport, which is one of my verticals, airport transfers, you know, it's going to double, triple, potentially even quadruple. So, okay, that was a pretty good piece of information. You know, then you get with folks like Ralph Schultz and what are all the other businesses doing and how are they preparing? It's talking to folks that were in the industry. You know, the one thing I found out about the transportation limousine industry, they were all willing to share. I went to a leadership summit back in, I believe it was 2010, in Chicago, and sat around a table of about 8 to 10 guys that had years of experience. And they just started, you know, really giving me information that I had no idea. And it would have taken me years to figure out. And I'm, of course, taking notes. Once I had done that discovery, then I really started kind of sitting down with that business plan. You know, I looked at, you know, where's the first place to start? You know, what part of the market? So we built this marketing sales plan, operationalized it. You know, I brought in some pretty good folks that had, you know, good experience on running operations. Looked at what technology was necessary, and then the financing. You know, what financial capital did I need? And yes, we put a plan together. It's changed, you know, and I wish I could have said, hey, I got the 5-year plan right from the first time. You know, I probably modified it half a dozen times, and then sought out, you know, other business leaders and mentors to help me kind of have it evolve to where it's at today.
Did you finance the business as far as the equity by yourself?
Yeah, it was the Bank of Carl. Yeah, that's what I tell most folks. It's the Bank of Carl, and it wasn't just the business, Grand Avenue. It's also the real estate. So I had to go find the real estate, and you know, that was one of the key ingredients to that business plan was location. I looked out at other cities, other markets, and looked at who were successful and why. And I called them and I'd ask them, and the first thing they would talk about is that location. You know, how quickly can you get to an airport? How quickly can you get to a hotel? You know, if they call you on demand and say, I need to have somebody here, you know, it better be pretty quick. The average hotel and business leader isn't going to wait more than 15 minutes. And in some cities, it's less than 10 before they grab the cab. And the cab is there. So we had to find that location. So we basically, or I went out, looked at 40-something properties, found this flood victim, I call it, that was, you know, off of North First Street, right off the north side of the football stadium, and said, this is it. But boy, you talk about having to have a vision. If you could have seen it, you know, it was the old Nolan Plumbing building. It was a mess. And then we've subsequently, just recently, bought another 2 acres as part of our strategy. So I have 6.5 acres that now allows me to put as many motor coaches as I think that Nashville can handle, as well as all the rest of the vehicles. So then I can provide tour operations, or I can do shuttles from the airport, or I can do, you know, the work with corporations and universities and schools. I keep plugging that, universities and schools. So that was part of that financing. So it was the Bank of Carl for the business and the real estate.
Do you have an exit strategy? Do you plan to sell the business at some point?
Yes, I do have an exit strategy, but let me kind of jump back to, you know, part of why did I get in this? I mean, it was to build something that would make a difference. And it was also to build something in a business that I had an opportunity to give back. And so I want to do those things before I really look at selling it. You know, we've got Grand Gives Back. You know, we provide opportunities for the community, specific organizations. We've got Grand Rewards, which allows our clients to earn credits, transportation credits. And there's still a lot of things that, you know, I have plans for. But the exit strategy that we put together was actually done day one. And I'll tell you, I had folks when I said, hey, I'm going to do this business, that said, what are you thinking about? You know, are you kidding me? You know, this is an asset-based business. That's kind of what we all think about initially. And, you know, this is one of the things that has always been a part of my makeup. You know, and I've learned from it, you know, in terms of somebody saying, you know, I don't think you could do these two things at the same time. But this was one of those, I think, opportunities to build a business that had predictable reoccurring revenue, where that hadn't happened before. And how do you do that? Well, you have to, one, go out and get a client and get a contract. And I had everybody tell me, you're not going to get contracts in this business. Well, most of the business I have, better than 70% of it, I have a contract. Whether it's with a university or school, it's a hotel, it's a company, even individuals. I have a program called Grand Select, and there's a minimum, a monthly minimum, and those dollars go towards transportation, and that's growing. And so, when you start to do the math on that, if you've got 100 folks to 1,000 folks, and that kind of might be the cap, and they're each spending an average of, make it $500, then you can look at, just $5 million, $6 million just with that group, with the spend. And some of it's education, some of it's, behavioral changes, but those are the things that I wanted to do with this business, so that wasn't just an asset-based sell. Because the way that this works, it's assets, revenue, and that's typically where it stops, and then goodwill. And so that's part of the brand. That's part of what we've created here to say there's a lot in this goodwill. And, it's then educating the market, private equity folks, the banks, strategic partners, that there's a lot of value with Grand Avenue in Nashville. And so hopefully 2015, 16, somewhere in there, we've got the revenue to that right place. The assets match up as far as the utilization factor. So I've got everything on the books 65, 70% utilized, and so that says you have a need and it's providing value and covering costs, all the unit costs. And then that goodwill, that brand, it's what everybody knows is transportation, not limousine service, and it's logistics, and it's saving you money. And you said worldwide earlier, right? Grand Avenue worldwide. We can take you to over 500 cities worldwide. We will manage your ground transportation, whether it's New York to the UK to South Africa. And we will manage those relationships in those markets to make sure you're safe, to make sure you get there on time. And we contract that business, and nobody else was doing that.
And those are done through partnerships?
Those are affiliates that we have. We've got an affiliate packet that says this is how we operate. This is how we want our clients, treated. And, not everybody makes the cut. I mean, it's pretty selective. And I have an affiliate manager, and that's her responsibility every day. And she goes around the country. We're getting ready to go in February to meet with most of these folks, a lot of them international, because we've got folks in the middle, these affiliates in the Middle East, the UK. They're just all over the world. And then a lot of domestic partners. It turns out to be about 300 plus or minus, and it gets us about 500 cities. And then even if you pick a place that we're not going to, we'll figure it out.
Let me approach the exit question from the opposite side. Could you see yourself becoming acquisitive? Is there an opportunity to scale this up and become a national business with a private equity partner? Or maybe even going public with the business?
That is absolutely an option. The idea is to get Middle Tennessee right. The model. If you come to the operation and you look at what I've built with a great team, one, it's that location and that's the facility that really allows me to grow 2015 and beyond. So there's a lot of room for growth. You'll see a lot of empty cubes in space. The infrastructure technology is there. So here we have an operation that I've got all of the billing, all the reservations. I can track you with GPS, flight tracking, manifest integration into the software, integrated with QuickBooks, Ground Global Automation, which is the travel agencies. It's all there. So now, once I get Middle Tennessee right, I can pick some of these other second-tier markets, and I can go in with a set amount of capital, which I know what it is, and set amount of fixed costs, which I know what it is, and I can grow that business within about a 24-month period of time. And so now, 2.5 to 5, maybe up to $10 million. So if you've got 2 or 3 of these, and potentially the targets for the next 4, 5, and 6, then I can sit at the table with somebody and say, maybe it's a strategic partner that needs to have that growth capability, or it's a private equity company that is looking, again, to have a great performing, asset or company that will return, dollars to their investors.
Now, Carl, I know you wanted to avoid the use of the word limousine, but you apparently carry some high-powered people in your vehicles. I know what happens at Grand Avenue stays at Grand Avenue.
That's right.
But I just wonder if you could share with us, you know, your thoughts about dealing with high-maintenance clients and customers. Do you see some people that are a little difficult to deal with from time to time?
You know what? I would never say on camera high maintenance or difficult. I would tell you challenging. But also it's an opportunity, and so we love them. We love that opportunity. And that's the thing I think about this business that I really enjoy, and also the thing that I really emphasize to my folks. You know, we will go above and beyond to take care of them. And, you know, a lot of times it's working with their travel agent, manager, talent manager, and really understanding the idiosyncrasies or the needs of that individual. Having the right chauffeur matched up with them. So we ask a lot of questions. So you've got one guy here that can carry a conversation, and you need that, or you have another guy that knows how to just not say anything, and is mature, and that, you know, there's not going to be a lot happening that's going to throw him off his focus. So it's what I look forward to, and it's a great opportunity, and Nashville has a lot of those challenges.
I can only imagine. We're going to run out of time, but I want to show a clip. You and your wife were recently named as Philanthropist of the Year. And I want to talk about your vision for how you use the rest of your life. Where do you put your values? But before we do, let's look at this brief clip.
Connie and Carl Haley are two people who feel like they have been extraordinarily blessed in their lives, and they want to share that with the community because, in their words, it makes them feel great.
You know, being around Carl and Connie, you'll quickly realize that they get it. They know what it means to give. And man, this man gives and gives and gives. And sometimes I even questioned that it wasn't worth giving to that situation, but not Carl. He just stepped right in and said, hey, I'm gonna help where I can.
The thing that I love about Carl and Connie is that when they hear about something, they don't go off and study it. They don't hem and haw. They say, let's do something about it.
They've made a difference in so many ways. Really sharing themselves, I think, is one way.
You know, when I think of Carl and Connie, they give with no strings attached. They just want to get in the game and be a part of something.
It is impossible to be around Connie and Carl without feeling an energy and enthusiasm for this community and for everyone in it.
So I believe they would say, in their small way, they want to make as much difference as they can while they're lucky to be here and be part of the lives of everybody in our community.
Everything that they touch is better because they bring an energy and a passion that is uncompared. They look at this community and they say, where is their need? And then they personally go out and make sure that they're part of improving wherever they see a need.
We say thank you. I say thank you. So on behalf of Lipscomb University and Brentwood Academy and a lot of other organizations here in this town and a lot of people that you've stepped in and helped that we don't even know about, thank you for doing what you do day in and day out and doing it with great joy. I couldn't think of a couple more deserving than you, Connie and Carl, as the Philanthropist of the Year.
So first of all, congratulations on that honor. That was
Well, thank you.
Really,
And it was an honor.
Well, it really was, and I'm sure well deserved. But tell me about your heart. What was it about what's in your heart that enabled you to achieve that honor?
You know, I always knew that if I had an opportunity to give back, contribute, make a difference, you know, I was going to do that. And it was one of, I think, the key tenets or reasons I got into the Grand Avenue opportunity or got into this business and really got more involved with Nashville. And it's about helping folks, you know, whether it's children, you know, whether it's someone that, you know, needs a helping hand to get to a better place in life, or it's an organization, whether it's, you know, like the police department and educating, you know, their officers so that they do a better job for us. And But it was just a very strong desire and passion to be able to give back. I was blessed, very blessed. The good Lord blessed me. I could never say enough about it. And so, Connie and I always look for ways to contribute in meaningful ways that are sustainable, and where there's a good track record, for that organization. And Nashville's got a lot of that, available. And I'm part of the Community Foundation of Middle Tennessee, and Ellen Lehman. And if you just look at that organization and her vision, and being able to also be part of that, and looking at really what's going on in the community, you have to kind of educate yourself. You have to understand, where you can make a difference, and that's what we look for every day. And that's part of the, Grand gives back, but it's just part of my makeup, and that's part of, I think, the plan of the good Lord. He put me down this path for a reason, and it's been a great learning experience for me. It's been satisfying, and I just hope that I've made a difference, in a small way. But that's what I look forward to doing.
If I was a 21-year-old student about to graduate from Lipscomb University and enter the business world, what would be the single piece of advice that you would give me from what you've learned over the years?
Well, I think that I would say find your passion. Find the thing that is going to energize you every day to get up and go out there and want to make a difference. I know there's a lot of good companies in Nashville, or really anywhere in the world, but find that thing that's your passion. It's going to really light you on fire to go make a difference. And then when you get there, be committed. Learn as much as you can, and understand accountability, and be part of a team, and also take some time for yourself so you can recharge those batteries. But it's just follow that passion, and I started out, I think, talking about really also, I think it's important to go to the Lord and lay it out there and kind of use that as part of that decision making process. And I can say this, I've never been let down, never.
Well, as long as you stay within His plan.
Within His plan, that's what I'm.
Plan.
That's
and that's
right.
The piece that I think many of us miss from time to time.
Well, we try to do it on our own,
yeah.
And I can tell you right now, I've looked back behind that shoulder, seen one set of footsteps, and I can tell you they weren't mine.
Yeah. We've all been guilty of missing that piece. Thanks for coming to
You're
Lipscomb
welcome.
today, Carl.
Pleasure.
It's always an honor to have you on
Yes,
this
sir.
campus.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. My guest today has been Carl Haley, who's the founder and CEO of Grand Avenue Worldwide, a transportation company here in Nashville, a new transportation company that's really creating quite a wave in the business community. Thanks for joining Conversations with the Dean. We'll see you again next time.